Hi friends, welcome to another RedditRev episode. Please subscribe and hit that like button if you're enjoying the content, and please share it with your friends if you can. I'd really appreciate it. Also, please leave me a comment to let me know what you think of the episode. Now let's get started with today's stories.
Part 5. Update. First, I would like to thank everyone for the positive feedback and support in the comments and DMs. Also, apologies for the delay in the update. I waited for Luna to come back from her honeymoon so I can show her this post. Our therapist wanted us to have full transparency when it comes to this situation. I wanted to make sure for me to share any more information since this is also about her. She read the post, but I refused to let her see any of the hateful comments considering how much she was crying from the post. Yet she had no issues with me posting an update. Then a tragedy happened with the passing of my grandmother and I had to place it on hold. So let's begin with where I left off. Jocelyn and I managed to get a double wide on our property and had everything ready for Luna and Roberto. Many people wondered why Jocelyn kept pushing to make peace in the beginning. Jocelyn didn't want my lingering anger to affect our family and wanted me to make peace with myself for our family's sake. I am grateful for that. As I mentioned before, Marisol was constantly calling me, and the day Luna left New York I spoke to her. She was crying and angry with me, telling me that I took her child and grandchild from her. I tried to explain to her that I want to rebuild my relationship with Luna, and almost immediately she began asking me about rebuilding my relationship with her. I had to tell her that I couldn't, which caused her to cry, and she hung up on me. Luna and Roberto loved the trailer, and the first thing Roberto did was starting the process to repay me. I told him that it wasn't needed, but he insisted and I appreciated it. A few days later, Luna and I had our first therapy session, and I learned of all of the anxiety medication she was taking, and I learned that she suffered from chronic panic attacks. One thing I can share about our sessions is that Luna is very remorseful and she suffered from years of verbal abuse from Marisol. There was things that shocked me. Some things that I found to be unbelievable, but was confirmed when I spoke to my former father-in-law. Marisol verbally and emotionally abused her. My cousin mentally destroyed her, and despite what my feelings were and the actions I took, I know I hurt her too. 2 weeks after they arrived, Roberto received news that he was being deployed sooner, so they had to move their wedding up. At first Luna wanted to wait for him to come home, but Roberto insisted. He wanted them to be married before he left. Jocelyn and I offered to help pay for the wedding, but Luna told me she only wanted me to walk her down the aisle and give her away. I know people kept telling me to get a DNA test because there wasn't one from the court due to the circumstantial evidence that was provided. Allow me to tell you there's no need for that. Luna is O positive. I'm AB negative, Marisol is B positive, and my cousin is O positive. However, despite what happened, Luna is my daughter. I only wished I wasn't blinded with rage. Anyway, the wedding had to be small since it was being done on my in-laws' ranch. My former father-in-law, Roberto's mother, Marisol, and my grandmother was invited. Only 2 RSVP. My grandmother couldn't come because she wasn't feeling well, and Marisol was admitted in a hospital for trying to hurt herself. Luna didn't take the news well, and I was angry at Marisol because she expected Luna to come back to New York to help take care of her. On the weeks leading to the wedding, I learned I was going to be a father again, and I was ecstatic. Roberto learned the hard way about breaking a horse, and I began teaching him how to fix cars. Again, I like this kid. The day before the wedding, my former father-in-law arrived with Roberto's mother. His mother is a very kind person, and I commended her for raising a fine young man. My former father-in-law was stoic as always, but we spoke. He told me that he was disappointed that I left, but given the circumstances he understood. He only wished that his daughter would move on as well. On the day of the wedding, Jocelyn was Luna's maid of honor, and I tried my best not to cry as I walked her down, but it was difficult. It was even more difficult for her. During the reception, we played the Quince song again for our father-daughter dance, and again she just held on to me. For those who wanted to know the song, it's Cinderella by Stephen Curtis Chapman. During their honeymoon, things were getting back to normal, and I was planning to write an update, but a few before they came home, my grandmother passed. This hurt me because she wasn't just my grandmother, but my mother. As I mentioned, I never knew my parents. Both my mother and father passed away alongside my cousin's parents when I was a few months old from a car accident, and she raised us together. So while preparing to go to New York for the funeral, I was trying to control myself and prepare to see my cousin. We went as a family to New York. My grandmother was laid to rest in Cypress Hill Cemetery. Yet during the funeral, with my wife, daughter, and son-in-law beside me, I wasn't angry. I didn't bother acknowledge my cousin during the funeral, and as we left, my cousin kept trying to talk to me, practically begging for me to yell at him, to hit him, and for some reason, me ignoring him just hurt him even more. A few days before we went back to Idaho, Luna and I visited Marisol at Bellevue. She was excited to see us, sad that she missed the wedding, and we thought everything was fine until we had to leave. She began to cry, telling the orderly that she wanted to go home with her husband, begging me to take her home, that I was the love of her life and to please just take her home, and I just cried as they took her away. Luna broke down as well, and it took a while before either of us had the strength to leave the visitors' lounge. My former father-in-law told us that Marisol was never the same after the divorce. She still celebrated my birthday and our anniversary, and he would argue with her to move forward, but she never did. He said she isolated herself and was verbally abusive towards Luna for a long time. Luna's pregnancy just took her out of the trance. He said that the 13 months of being nice to our daughter doesn't take away from the 4 years of negligence and abuse she has done to her. He hopes the hospital will help her. Jocelyn told me that I will have to forgive her so she could forgive herself. Right now as I'm typing, things are okay. Jocelyn and I are as thick as thieves. Roberto left to Saudi Arabia last week and Luna is trying to appear strong with him gone, but she's doing it poorly. She has been clinging on to me and Jocelyn. I thought Jocelyn might be bothered, but she has been loving spending time with her. She is indeed a wonderful woman. She has been taking Luna all across town, introducing her as her daughter. I thought it might bother Luna, but she was very happy about it. I forgave Marisol and I hope she could find the strength to move on.
I hope you enjoyed our video. It's always a pleasure creating these stories, and if you liked what you saw, please take the time to show your support by giving it a thumbs up and subscribing if you haven't already done so. Sharing with your friends is also greatly appreciated. Let me know in the comments section below what you think of our videos. I'm all ears. Be sure to check back soon for more original Reddit stories every day on RedditRev. Until then, stay awesome, my friend.